You're listening to the Phatcast, live from the studio with Colin Reynolds.
I can make you stay with me, my love. We've got so many things to do. We've got so many things to find. And I can make you stay with me, my love. I can make you stay with me, my love. We'll be buffeted by the sands of time. Use the sands to soothe our wounds. Letting go is hard to do. I get scared sometimes that I will always be alone, and you get scared that you won't find yourself. And there's a part of you that I will always feel is home, and I'm the one you feel like truly knows you. I cannot escape from this, my love. A piece of me will always be for you. All those secret moments in the dark, all this time that no one ever knew. Growing up is hard to do, my love, and I can cling to you to be my boat. I might never learn to swim, but at worst I'll learn to float. Sometimes happiness can feel like the saddest thing, and sometimes dreams are never meant to be. Euphoria is just relief in getting what you want, but happiness is wanting what you have. We could not escape from this, my love. The sands of time have run out fast. You will be some sand within my shoe, and we will leave this in the past. And we will leave this in the past. Thank you.
Good afternoon. You're listening to the Phatcast with your host, Colin Reynolds. And today my special guest is Eleanor Meredith.
Hi.
How you doing, Eleanor?
Not too bad, thank you.
Excellent. So that was a charming song that you played.
Oh, thank you very much.
This is one of your originals?
Yeah. I'm not really hugely much of a songwriter. They just kind of occasionally want to pop out.
Sure.
Yeah.
And what was the name of that song?
See, because I'm not really like a songwriter, I hate naming them because
Sure.
it's like then I have to take ownership of them. I guess I kind of call it Sandshoe.
Sandshoe.
Yeah, it sounds like a weird name for it, but yeah.
So, you know what? That's a word I haven't heard for a long time. But as a youngster, my father would call sneakers sandshoes.
Yeah.
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 Right. Okay. That's the meaning of sandshoe?
Yeah. No, I'm fairly sure once upon a time.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
So, now, I've seen you perform a number of times.
Yep.
First time playing guitar and singing.
Yep.
Your usual gig is as a jazz singer.
That's correct, yeah.
Yes. So, who have you been playing with recently?
Oh. Like Aaron Entres and Ben Brinkhoff. I think the last gig I did was one down at Henry Jones with Ben Brinkhoff and then Danny Healy.
Yep.
So that was a lot of that was chordless, so because
Sure.
Ben's a bass player and
Yes.
Danny plays reeds.
Yep.
And so, I mean, because it's Henry Jones, there's a piano there as well, so I'm traditionally a pianist. Technically, if you were going to put if you were going to say what my occupation is according to my degree, I'm a jazz pianist. So.
A jazz pianist. Yep.
But yeah, I haven't ended up doing that as much.
Saw
as other
Danny
things.
yesterday, actually.
Oh yeah.
He played at Mona with Brian in the Kookaburra band, or the Kookaburra Quartet, spelt with Q's. But this is Danny, Tim Jones, and Lindsay Arnold.
Oh, I don't know about that person.
82, maybe 83 years old now. Like the longest standing jazz drummer in Tassie, no question. He's been playing since the 50s.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, legend. And they were, of course, led on stage by Brian playing a selection of different shakuhachi.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's a fun kind of band, and they play, a mixture of sort of obviously some jazz stuff, some blues stuff, and some folk stuff from different origins.
That's cool.
Yeah. So Aaron, I saw him just recently as well.
Yeah, he's a pretty cool dude.
he is the sharpest dressed man in Hobart.
I think so, but I think he actually models himself after Mr. Fred Bradshaw. So he is
Fred's always looking pretty sharp too.
Yeah, I think Aaron got his dress sense from Fred. He's one of Fred's love children.
For sure. A great drummer.
Yeah, no,
and
he
it's
is.
not even like his main instrument.
No, it's not his main instrument at all.
He's a brass player?
Saxophonist.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah,
Sounds like Paul Desmond.
He brings the ruckus on the drums. And he's actually got this a really special ride cymbal with no bell. So it's just this...
There's a little flat thing. Doesn't look like a planet, just looks like
some sort of dish.
Yeah.
No, it's an amazing sound. Amazing sound. So, now, have you ever thought about perhaps cobbling together a couple of your originals into a recording?
That's a kind of a funny thing. I used to... I actually, funnily enough, I grew up in a recording studio, and I think because that kind of almost got forced onto me a bit.
Sure.
It kind of like doing my own songs and doing that, I ended up with very little interest in doing that.
Sure.
So yeah, I don't know. It's definitely been a thing. I like I said, I'm not hugely a songwriter. I'm more I write things when I've got like a big emotional thing I'm trying to get out, and then I get it out. Yeah. And then it's there, and then I've done something with it, and then it's kind of, so it's, I don't know, I guess it's a kind of more an emotional expression. I think a lot of the time, because a lot of the songs I write are so personal, like are kind of just, they're written about very specific things. It's quite a birdies. It's quite a I don't know. I would feel like I was revealing myself a lot.
Sure.
And it probably wouldn't be that way to other people. They probably, wouldn't make that connection at all. But for me, it just feels like this is like the depths of my soul I'm bringing out.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's funny, so I play guitar, a few different instruments, but mainly guitar. And I sing a little bit, but I'm not a singer, definitely not. And this is the thing, though. To play guitar in front of other people, original stuff, covers, improvise, no worries. There's no self-consciousness about that. But to sing in front of other people, right? I mean, I can do it. Like, I force myself to do it, but that is way harder. Even singing other people's songs. The idea that I would write something myself and sing something myself, my own melody, my own lyrics, I don't even think I could probably do that. So I have a solo act where I do a little bit of like electronica synthesizers, drum machines, guitar, and a little bit of like hip hop sort of style, rhyming. I guess you would say.
Rhyming, yep.
Yeah,
cool.
But the thing is, like, I will, before the afternoon before a gig, I'll be there at home and I'll be like just sort of rhyming to myself, thinking about stuff I can use later. And I'll spend, an hour or a couple of hours coming up with all of these cool ideas or ideas that I think are cool.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'll get there in the performance and it's not even that I can't remember necessarily, but all of a sudden they don't seem to be such cool things to say anymore.
I know what you mean, yeah. No, I totally get that. Yeah.
Is that the feeling we're tapping into? What were you talking about?
I'm not sure. I mean, it would probably be a variation on that. Is that like I guess it's that like putting a part of yourself out for other people to evaluate, which is the same thing I guess with coming up with these rhymes. It's like I think they're really cool, but what if you don't?
Right.
It's like
I feel like suddenly you'd be judged like really badly, or especially like with rhyming, okay, hip hop sort of style stuff. Like that's a very specialized and in a way an elite kind of a thing. Like people that can get out there and can rap is a much smaller group of people than the people that can get out there and sing.
Absolutely.
Rapping is like, it's hard. And not that singing isn't hard, but...
No. I mean, but there is, I think, I don't know, I don't want to say something I'll get myself in trouble for it, or that sounds kind of, also someone could misinterpret, but I think there's, when it comes to, actually, here's probably the thing. You can practice singing a lot more. So a lot of the time when people go out and sing something, it's something that they've sung many, many times in more or less the same way. Whilst if you're coming out and you're like, 'cause even if you've got kind of predetermined material a bit, but you're still going to use it in an improvisatory way, it's kind of, I kind of get what you mean there,
Sure. It's super hard. And it's hard not to feel like, without even touching cultural appropriation.
Yeah.
It's hard not to feel like a poser when you're rapping.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Yep.
Straight up, as soon as I start doing it, I feel like a poser.
Yeah.
Well, I am a poser, obviously.
Yeah.
But I don't want to feel like one.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. So now, are there any other instruments that you dabble with?
I mean, I own a broken trumpet, but I don't really play that. I think I own a clarinet as well, but I don't really play that. I'm a pianist for the most part and a singer.
Yep.
I play a very little bit of guitar, but I wouldn't call myself a guitarist because I know far too many people who are absolutely phenomenal guitarists that I don't,
Aaron. Right.
Yeah, like
right.
I can't.
God on the guitar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I can play a few things, but not that much more than open chords. You know? So I wouldn't ever stretch to that.
Perfectly adequate for writing a song, singing a song.
Totally.
Especially if you have a capo.
Yeah, which I didn't have today. That's why I was like, oh.
You did just fine without it. Even the lower key, perfect.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I used to play percussion in concert bands when I was a teenager and a little bit in uni as well. So mostly xylophone because the pianist always gets put on. Oh, well, mallet percussion, not as much xylophone, but like glockenspiel, xylophone. Vibes. I dabbled for a short while in jazz vibraphone. I've actually still technically got a set of mallets.
Wow.
But a vibraphone is another expensive instrument that one would need to purchase in order to...
And it takes up a lot of real estate.
It does. I mean, that probably wouldn't be an issue for me, but like owning a set of vibes is the thing. I mean, I've already got enough instruments to cart around with me. I've got, a couple of keyboards and a piano and, enough stuff. Broken trumpet. But I used to do that, and then I've kind of dabbled in arranging a reasonable amount. I write songs here and there. I compose instrumental music as well here and there, and
do you like soundtracks?
Yeah, I do.
I love soundtracks.
Yeah.
And I'm heavy metal guy. Death metal band.
There's kind of like parallels between that because I think a lot of that heavy metal music kind of has that enigmatic, like takes you on a kind of story journey.
And it has the drama, those contrasts, those huge contrasts and big drama.
Mm-hmm.
So for many years I've been writing heavy metal music.
Yep.
Like in all of the bands that I've been in, essentially I'm writing the songs that we're playing.
Yeah, cool.
But it wasn't until I started to get sort of super interested in soundtracks that I feel like I could call myself a composer.
Yeah, cool.
There's things that they do. Now, different composers obviously approach soundtracks differently.
Yeah.
But like if we're looking at like the big name Hollywood blockbuster type movies, obviously the biggest name right now is probably Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
Okay. Now Zimmer does something very clever that perhaps some have done it before him, but he's the first that I noticed to do this. And what he does is he actually uses pop loops in his compositions. Now, not necessarily in all of his compositions, but say some big ones, like the song Time from Inception.
Yep.
Or Interstellar from Interstellar.
Yep.
These are just pop loops. Like Interstellar is like it's just the classic 145 minor 6.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep, those kind of things. Yeah, I'm not actually familiar with those two soundtracks, so I couldn't have a proper an opinion on either of them. But yeah, I have definitely noticed in other composers' music coming through, there is definitely a bit more of a I mean, from a certain perspective, like a more hoity-toity music perspective, you would say like a bit of a dumbing down of the musical materials actually used. You know what I mean? But like you said, like the pop music, the pop loops, the classic kind of pop music tropes, and using that, and it is really clever on a certain level because it's all of this like musical materials that people are used to kind of hearing.
It's familiarity.
Yeah.
You know, so people, they'll hear, and let's say the person who's not a music student of any kind, who perhaps enjoys music to listen to, will...
I'd love to be one of those people.
Surely we used to be those people, right? We used to be those people at some point.
Once upon a time.
Yeah, I don't know. But it's just like, imagine being able to go back, wipe your mind and read books you haven't read before.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Right?
Yeah. I'm really bad. There's always going to be something that gets you in the same way, but I'm really I'm not good at opening myself up to that kind of stuff. I want the old familiar. I'll watch the same TV series like 10 times rather than watching something new. That. Yeah.
I love sci-fi, right? Especially hard sci-fi, like Dune. Right, Frank Herbert's Dune.
That's kind of a relatively new thing, isn't it?
There's a new movie.
Yeah, okay. So
the book was written in like 1965.
Cool.
So, I mean, right, but this book, I won't go into a big diatribe about Dune, but like I'd so love to be able to go back and read that again without knowing what happens in it. Yeah. But so applying that to music, the familiarity of these structures, somebody who doesn't know the nuts and bolts behind it, from their perspective, what they hear, they just hear something great, something they like straight away.
It's so cool.
And they're watching it, and the big moment in the movie where they might know nothing about music, but they know what note's going to play next. Yeah. So you get like this big build up, and then this silent bit, and of course it's coming back just to the one to resolve. They don't know what this is, but they know in their mind's ear where it's going to go. Yeah, they know it.
No, it's really cool like that. It's, it'd be cool to go back to that kind of way of
Zimmer has nailed that, and so he's managed to bring in a popular audience into the love of soundtracks, which is like a stepping stone through other soundtracks into more complex music, like
really, really cool, like
classical and romantic and this kind of music, which is, when you're interested in it, much more interesting to listen to because of everything that's going on.
Absolutely. No, I mean, especially you listen to like the late romantic orchestral music in particular. It is so much of it could just be soundtracks.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep. Especially my favorite.
Well, they were.
Oh, they were.
That
absolutely.
stuff like Looney Tunes and
absolutely.
Like
where they started to do that.
Let's just have the whole 4 seasons and then let's make an animation.
Yeah, or like Fantasia and stuff like that. And that's pretty brilliant.
Fantasia uses Stravinsky's
Rite of Spring.
Rite of Spring.
Yeah.
Oh, and what an amazing piece of music.
Yeah.
And like, it's so discordant in so many places. It's like polytonal.
Yep. It's pretty incredible. It's interesting as well. Like, I guess that was probably the first. In some ways, it was the first version of soundtrack as well, because those were actually, the Rite of Spring's a ballet.
Yeah.
And so you had the story, and the music was there to help tell the story of the ballet, and you have the dancers doing it. And so that's actually that general period, which I could be wrong, but I'm 99% sure that we refer to it as like the nationalist period. So when you had the different, so just after the Romantic period and before the like minimalist modern period, you had the nationalist period, which was like basically all these different countries. You could kind of pick where someone was from. Based on the content of the music. So
Wagner kind of slips in there as well, doesn't he?
So I don't want to say yes or no, because I don't want to, spout facts that I don't actually know for sure.
Like the Ring Cycle.
Yeah.
Like 14, 15-hour opera.
It's mental. I did that in music history. I actually did, before I did my jazz piano degree, I did like a year and a half of classical composition.
Oh, wow, okay.
And I mean, I ended up doing jazz piano because I started playing in all the ensembles at the conservatorium, because I had a background in jazz piano anyway, and I was slowly withering in the classical stream, and I kind of realised that, I needed to be in the jazz stream, but I didn't.
Where the fun is kind of thing.
Not necessarily like that. I don't like to look at it like that.
Sure.
Because I have, I had some friends who were classical peeps, who were the most fun people ever, and all the rest, of course. But it's where I, naturally do sit better. So it's just that. But I did all of that stuff in the classical realm for a while. How much of it has actually stuck in my brain is another question, though.
Sure. Oh, the Ring Cycle was my first sort of step into opera, really. Yeah. And I don't want to give anyone the impression that I know a lot about opera, because I really don't. But through study of that particular, you can't even call it a piece. It's just an epic.
It's a bit mental.
Yeah. Understanding the concept of the motif, the leitmotif. Yeah. That totally changed the way that I write music. Yeah. Absolutely changed. And for anybody that's not familiar with this idea, it's the idea that you essentially have a melody that stands in for a character or
an
concept.
Idea thing. Yeah, I think that originated, if I recall this correctly, I could be wrong, but I believe that it actually originated from Berlioz's Symphonie Fantastique.
Oh, sure.
Was the first time. So that was late Romantic period, and it was the first like proper piece of concert music where he actually had like a little like blurb about each movement of the symphony. And so basically the first movement, I can't remember the details, but more or less the story behind it is this guy who falls madly in love with this girl, and so there's a leitmotif that represents her. And then I think he goes on a opium trip, is like a big part of it, and that's of course back in the day when opium wasn't poo-pooed, in the late
oh, you've got a cold, take some opium.
And then he ends up, like, by the end of it, he's having this horrible trip, like, and she turns up and then her skin all melts off or something along those lines. And but Berlioz was a pretty hilarious figure by those standards. He was the quintessential romantic composer, because he would just fall in love all over the place. And there's some story, which I'll probably get wrong, where he fell in love with this woman who was either engaged or married or something.
Terrible idea.
Or she ran away with someone else or something like that. And he dressed as a woman and hitchhiked his way across Europe to go and murder her and her husband or whatever for breaking his heart, and then got to the city where they were and then chickened out, and after hitchhiking across Europe dressed as a woman.
And then he's written music about this?
I think so, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great to listen to.
Yeah. So a bit of a quirky individual, as many of them were.
Definitely. Just coming back to the ring for a second.
Of course, no worries.
Well, no, there's just one thing I wanted to talk about. How what I see is not just this is the genius of it. All of it's like genius. Even though he had some terrible political ideas, but just brush that to the side, to the arsenal. Okay, so the intro, there's basically this one line, starts at the nadir, ends at the apex. So it covers the entire ambit. It's in the first line. Now, this melody, or this phrase, or group of phrases even, all 151 other motives in the ring cycle can be found in the opening intro.
It's pretty amazing.
That's, to me, when I found that absolutely blew my mind.
Yeah.
Absolutely, like, mind blown. How can you approach that? But, yeah.
No, that's pretty... Someone else is I think it's like there's a funny a meme that I saw the other week, which was like six people these days think they're so much smarter than people were like 50 years ago, and then it's got the comment about 50 years ago a car manual told you how to I can't remember specifically, but it was something that was quite complex. Yeah, something like that. And now it tells you not to drink the battery fluid. It's like, so yeah.
Yeah. Technology has certainly advanced a lot, but we are much the same as people that lived 100, 200, 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 years ago.
Yeah,
humans haven't changed that much in this period of time.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I think we've learnt to deal with we've made the world so much easier for ourselves.
Yeah.
But then so much more complex on other levels. So obviously if you put a computer in front of someone from 200 years ago, they'd be like,
to start with,
they'll
think, but you know what? Give them an iPad or something with an intuitive UI and a few hours.
You never know.
They'd be buying songs off iTunes. You know?
Could be. Yeah.
We give them to kids and they can do it.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of that kind of scares me. I mean, I've got some opinions about children with technology, but that's okay.
Just as long as they don't have my credit card information, go ahead.
Yeah.
It's funny though too how for example, as a kid, I knew all of my friends' phone numbers.
I know.
I knew like the address of like 10 important places. I knew how to find my way out of the bush if I got lost. We'll probably still do that now.
Yeah.
But forget the phone numbers these days.
I couldn't even tell you what my boyfriend's phone number is. So.
It's saved in the phone.
Yeah. It's there. It's there. Yeah. No, it's crazy, isn't it? But then you have to remember so many passwords. It's like
that's it. Or get a password manager, which I should practice what I preach because I haven't done that either.
No, me neither. I'm not good at that.
No.
Yeah, I think there might be a built-in one on my iPad, but not. Yeah.
Yeah. No, like and the trap to fall into when you're signing up for stuff, it's like use this suggested strong password. Yeah, go for it. Click ahead. Get me to the content I'm trying to find.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like on my phone at a different place later. It's like, the password. So having to go through the whole forgot password.
Every time.
Yep.
I do it with really important things as well, like just my official things that I should really know.
Yep.
Yeah, it's terrible.
There's this. It's funny you speaking about a meme. There was this other joke where, I'll butcher it, but it goes along the lines of here's a teacher's pointing at the board and he's saying, "Come on, kids, it's not exactly brain surgery." They're doing some algebra or whatever, and then in the medical room, whatever, a teacher pointing at the board. Come on, it's not exactly rocket science.
Yeah.
Next one, and it's all rocket science. And they're like, come on, it's not exactly music theory.
Yeah, it is pretty interesting like that. Yeah. Music theory is an interesting kind of topic. I mean,
and we should the caveat when we're talking about music theory, we're really talking about the music theory of 13th century Europe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally.
Because there's all this other music theory in the world that we're just not grappling with either.
Yeah, no, it's the Western tonal system. That's what we're using.
12-tone temperament system.
Yep.
Yeah, equal temperament
Yep, absolutely.
System.
Yep. No.
430 hertz.
Yep, something
after the sharpness wars, 441.
Yep, something along those lines. I don't even go that deep into it now. I mean, I'm lucky because I'm a pianist. I mean, I teach, kids piano and a bit of voice and stuff as well. But music theory, if you know how to play piano, is so much easier.
Sure. Yeah. Yep. And, reading standard notation. So when I first started getting into guitar, I was reading tabs. And that's a much quicker way to get to the information.
It's so much more intuitive. And
but there is a but.
Yeah.
Traditional notation is much like words in that not just the fact that we use letters to notate it, but it has a shape.
Yes.
Right. So you can, what key we're in, the overall shape. You can remember roughly, it's like the 5th, the 6th, the 4th, third, the 5th again.
Totally.
Whereas tabs, you're like, what number, it's much easier when you can read standard notation to memorize a piece, all of that stuff is, or read new pieces.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I'm a funny one like that because I did have I had like classical piano lessons, sort of as
like AMEB.
No, not AMEB. I never did that. I'm from rural area, so and my parents didn't believe in that kind of stuff. But the piano teacher I had was my piano teacher, and then he also conducted the local concert bands, and that's how I ended up doing percussion.
So like a Suzuki method type dude?
No. He played trumpet. He's a jazz trumpet player. What he did, and then taught me piano. He played piano from when he was a little kid and was really, really good at one point, and then swapped to composition or something. Anyway, when I was learning, I started playing piano when I was about 7. I had some lessons that didn't really work out super well, but at the same time, I was my dad's a self-taught musician.
Yep.
So, but at the same time of having lessons, I was teaching myself by ear.
Yep.
Those lessons didn't really work out, and then I had a couple of years where I was literally just teaching myself by ear.
Sure.
And then by the time I ended up having lessons again, because I could pick things up so easily by ear, just because I'd done so much of it.
Yep.
Going on to reading music after that, my ear ended up being a wall.
Sure.
And I'm still a very poor reader in comparison to what,
because you rely on the sound.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yep. Because I was so ear oriented from such a young age for so long that I could figure out a reasonable amount of stuff when I was pretty young.
Yep. And
so it did end up just being
I totally
barrier for
that.
me.
You see, in regular academia, this is like the story of a precocious child who never had to do homework, will ace every test. They get to uni, and that skill's not valued anymore. The skill that's valued is
hard work and putting your head down and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I'm terrible at hard work.
Same.
I'm so bad at it.
Same.
Yeah. But I mean, there's a million people who can hear so much better than I can, and then can sight read anything as well. So
sure.
I'm not trying to say anything particularly about my own ability at all. But just having that barrier of having that comfort zone, and then having to break it down.
Yep.
So it's just it's a gift and a curse.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. At least within circles of jazz, look, if you can read a chord chart and you've got an ear, you
can do it right. Yeah. Usually, I mean, it's interesting. Jazz is it's such an interesting thing because really jazz is, how you were saying about like learning your rhymes and kind of having all of this pre-prepared material. So much of jazz is that.
Yep.
Because it's
like the licks and the cliches, even though you're improvising.
Totally. I mean, but it's that thing of like, I mean, we go through like you can't play something that you can't play.
Yep.
Is this thing. And I had spent so long when I was first learning jazz going like, I don't want to practice licks. I don't want to practice this because I want to improvise. But I had no idea what I was kind of talking about. And I had this thing stuck in my head which set me back so far.
Well, the licks are your alphabet.
Exactly, that's right. And I didn't get that for so long. It was really quite sad, actually. I didn't get it for so long. I'm kind of usually that person who's like, someone will tell me something a million times, but I'm still lost the party.
Getting to the other side of that one, having a vocabulary.
Yeah,
that's a pretty advanced level of musical maturity that most people won't reach anyway.
Yeah, I think,
or at least they don't until they've been playing for 20, 30 years. You know.
Yeah, well, I think I don't know, to put it on a different way, I guess it's like, you know how if you say to most people, if you said what's 4 plus 4, they'll say 8.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
It's like, you know, if you say to someone, what's 236 plus 842 plus 3,947, and then someone who's really good at maths will go like, what's this? See, I don't even remember what numbers I just told you.
Yep.
Someone
Me
who
neither.
isn't...
As soon as you got to the third one, I thought, like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. So I think it's kind of that. It's like, you know, a lot of people have that level of, you know, they can hear, oh, that's going 1, 4, 5, you know, and they can do that.
Yep.
Whilst not, you know, it's just a continuation of the same skill to be able to, you know, transcribe a jazz solo or whatever.
Sure. Well, I mean, there's tiers, aren't there? Like, there's a stage where you perhaps know no theory, and then there's, you know, stage 1 is, you know, that's a this chord, that's a this chord. Eventually you'll know all the keys, you know,
hopefully,
the secondary dominance, which scale starts on a D when you're in the key of A, all of these sorts of things. So you can forget them. And then
that's the goal with it, is to not kind of have to think about it. And I mean, we spend all this time learning all of this language and understanding it theoretically, and then the aim is for it to just come out without, because that's how we're hearing it through our head. And so it's like, it really is. I mean, I don't speak another actual, you know, a spoken language, but I can imagine it's very much like that, in that you know, once you kind of get to a certain level with, say, speaking French or whatever, you don't have to go, oh, I need to say this word because it means this, and this word because it means this, and this word, and I need to put it together like this so that it does that. You just kind of go, I'm not going to try and say something in French. But yeah.
Sacre bleu.
Exactly.
Look, we've about run out of time.
No worries.
Thank you very much for coming on, Eleanor.
My pleasure.
And I imagine I'll see you sometime soon.
I hope so. That'd be nice.
Great. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
And we'll be back next week.